So greetings from blazing hot Pennsylvania once again. We're in the midst of a pretty nasty heat wave. One of the worst in a while. It's literally 100 degrees outside. Of course, depending on where you are from in the world, that's not that big of a deal, but for here, it is. But anyway, I just kind of hung out inside all day. It's July 3rd, obviously the day before 4th of July. I didn't do a whole lot the past couple days. We did one of our driving videos, but anyway, let's do some baking today. Yesterday I did buy a butternut squash, and I cut it up into pieces. I'll show that footage in a little bit, but I'm gonna make a butternut custard pie today. I think I'm gonna have a basic custard pie recipe, but I think I'm gonna do what I do and experiment and alter it a little bit and see what happens. I have never tried this altered recipe before, but we'll see how it works together. But like I said, I did cut up some squash yesterday, so I'll go ahead and show that slightly boring footage for you now. So we're gonna cut this up and cook this tonight, and then maybe make the pie tomorrow. We'll see. But we're gonna work on carving this up, getting the skin off and the seeds out and all that good stuff. Probably cut it up in like little chunks, and then cook it. Oops. Cook in a pot then. Oh, look at that. Look how bright orange that is. That's cool. Yeah, this neck part is just all like butternut squash flesh. The seeds are down this part. Wow. Here's what we're left with: 2 bowls of butternut squash. They almost look like a cantaloupe, but squash. But I think I'm just going to put these in the fridge tonight. Maybe I'll cook some of it tomorrow if I make the pie tomorrow, which I'm planning to. But anyway, I'm not going to use all this for the pie. I can make other things with it too. So just got a little bit of waste material here too. So yeah, because there's one thing I need to buy tomorrow. But I don't need it for the pie, but it would help with the pie. But anyway, all right, let's wrap this stuff and put it in the fridge, and I'll check in with you some other time, maybe tomorrow. So there you go. That squash is over in the fridge right now. I got my basic recipe here, but I think I'm gonna cook up some of that squash first. Maybe about 2 cups of it. I'm gonna cook up and get nice and soft, so I can smash it up and mix it with the rest of the ingredients. So let's go ahead and take care of that now. So we're gonna get some water boiling here. Got one of my things of squash. I think it's 2 cups. I think we'll try. If we need more to alter the recipe, we can always do that. But we'll try this first. You know, I was filming yesterday. I said it almost looks like cantaloupe. It does. All right. I almost feel like adding more, but let's just think about it. But I think I'll just stick with 2 cups for now. Like I said, this is just experimental. You know, if I think I need more in the future, we can always do that. I'm just kind of experimenting right now. But it's going to take time to get to boiling, get these softened up. But while waiting for that to cook up, I'm going to get the eggs ready. The original recipe calls for 6 eggs. It's a custard pie. I'm going to drop it down to 4 just because I'm adding this other stuff, these other ingredients. Like I said, I'm kind of experimenting. I have to have just 4 eggs too, so we're going to get these in here. Get those beaten or whisked. I've seen other custard recipes that only ask for 4 eggs too. Alright, that's boiling away. Just gonna wait till they're nice and soft so I can smush them nicely. They got a little ways to go yet. Alright, I think they're soft enough. Let's get this water drained out. And then we'll get them in there and apply the masher to them. Alright, so the recipe calls for 2 cups of milk. I'm going to slowly add this to my squash mash that I have going on here, and get that all mixed in as thoroughly as I can before adding it to the eggs. I got some other ingredients to add yet too, but let's get the milk and the squash together as well as we can. Let's see how that works out. I'm going to add the milk bit by bit. In a way. You're just adding the milk bit by bit so it mixes nicely together. Whoops, did I spill it everywhere? Alright. As it happens when you cook one-handed. I might get my whisk back out too, use that too, but this will work for now. This is what it looks like after 1 cup of milk. Gotta add the other cup yet. Alright, let's add some other ingredients. Maybe I'll just show you what it looks like with the 2 cups of milk. Let me bring you over here quickly. Kind of what it looks like with the full 2 cups of milk. Of course, we still have to put our egg mixture in there, but we'll wait a little bit. Let me set you back up here a little bit. Whoops. Gently. Let's add a pinch of salt. What does it say? So 1 cup of sugar. Maybe you can probably add what you want. Maybe not a full cup if you don't want a full cup, but that should be fine. All right, some vanilla extract. Oh, take the seal off. Hold on a second. Then we'll throw in some other spices. The recipe calls for nutmeg, but we're going to add a few other things too, I think. All right. So some nutmeg. Some cinnamon. And not a ton. Let's see here. Just a little bit of cloves. Just a tiny bit. A little bit goes a long way. Some ginger. Need more ginger. Maybe a little bit of cardamom. Get this all mixed together. All right, let's go ahead and add the egg. That's what it looks like, very liquidy, but it's a custard pie, so it's going to be liquidy. But remember, this is experimental too, so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to work on making the crust too here. We got to heat the oven initially to 475, cook it for 10 minutes, and then reduce it to 350 and for about another half hour then. But let's work on getting that the crust. All right, so 1 3/4 cups of flour. Just gonna use spelt flour. Anyway, we got our 1 3/4 cups of flour in there. Some salt. Need some to stir. And then we're gonna add half a cup of oil. While I'm getting this ready, let's preheat the oven a while. It's gonna take a while. Get up to 475. All right, let's get back to this. So we have the oil in, then in a little bit we're gonna start adding some tablespoons of cold water to this, so it has a nice consistency. All right, time to do it my awkward way. Just gonna take bits of it and spread it out in the pan. That's how I do it. Instead of rolling it out. Works just as well. Get your hands a little oily, but that's fine. Makes a nice dough though. Alright, so pie crust is ready, and then eventually we're going to pour this in. I don't know if there might be more in here than will fit in there, but we'll see. If there's some left over, that's fine. But we're going to wait to do that until this is dings, lets me know it's preheated. So I'll catch up with you in a bit. I'm just going to head over to the room a little bit and wait for this to ding. And then we'll pour it in and into the oven. Yeah, 10 minutes at 475 preheated, and then about half an hour at 350. So all right, well, let's get this in here. That should be ready almost any time in the oven. Let's see how much of this we can get in here. think that's good. That looks weird. That's just how sloppy it is. Yeah, I think that'll work. There's a little bit left over. Maybe I'll just put that in the fridge. Yeah, let's bring you over. Yeah, so that's almost the top, and then some left over. Right now, the tricky part, getting this in the oven without spilling anything. That's hot. Let all the hot air out. Yeah, so the directions said 10 minutes at 475, but I feel like as soon as you open the oven door, you let all the hot air out. So we'll leave it in for roughly 10 minutes at 475, or yeah, anyway, give it a little time to heat back up. I've looked up different custard recipes, and they all have like different. They all generally say, you know, heat originally at 475 or 450 for 10-15 minutes, and then lower down around 350 for a little bit longer. So anyway, we'll leave it in there for, I think maybe 15 minutes. We'll leave it before we lower it down to 350. It's been close to 15 minutes. Let's take a peek. Ooh, it looks good in there. I'm gonna turn the heat down now to 350. All the way down to 350. And for another half hour or so. But it smells good in here. All right, eager to see how this turns out. All right, let's take a look. Let's turn the light on. So it's been a little bit over half an hour. It is just a little bit jiggly. That's the way it's supposed to be. So I think we're done. Alright, so it does need to cool off and set. A little jiggly like that is a custard pie, so that's okay. You see the crust is nice and color to it, almost burning just a little bit on the edges there. So we're going to let that cool off and let it set. Alright. Yes, I'll probably let this sit for well into the evening. I mean, it's, well, it already is evening, but let it sit for a couple hours actually. Let it cool off. When it's hot like this, it's still, like you can see, it's still jiggly, but when it cools off, I keep using that word set, the custard will set. Alright, but I'm hungry. I need to make something else to eat though before this is ready. Alright, so it's 8:30, it's been about 3 hours. It's time to try a piece. It feels pretty cooled off. Yeah, it seems like it's set nicely. Yeah, it should come out nicely. I need 2 hands for it. Yeah, so there's a better look at it. There's a few, I probably could have mixed it better. I was thinking about going to Walmart and buying one of those, I don't you call them, like, you know, things to mix it up a little bit better, but other than that, like there's an eggy piece, but anyway, it's custard pie, so that's what you're going to get to some extent. Alright. But here we go, the taste test. Yeah, I'm really curious about this. Like, so I followed a standard recipe I found for just like regular plain custard pie, and then kind of modified it a little bit. Here goes nothing. That's good. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. That'll work. Only some changes, maybe, like I said, maybe getting more one of those electronic, I forget what they're called, mixer thing, you know. Instead of trying to do it by hand, I might get it more, I'm thinking more mixed more. I think I'll turn it down a little bit here. Yeah. Maybe a different type of pie crust. So I use my typical oil crust. I definitely could have added more butternut squash, I think, to it. And I didn't put as much sugar in as the recipe asked, but I'm okay with that. I think I'm getting some more. Yeah, so another piece. It definitely set well too. You know how, you know what I mean by it? The custard, it's not all liquidy and stuff, so it wasn't too much or too little as far as all that goes. Yeah, I'm pleased with that for the first time making that. So yeah, this opens the door for like other custard recipes, trying different things, like maybe sweet potato or other types of squash, different things like that, trying all different kinds of stuff. I know we made like a strawberry rhubarb custard pie, but that was a slightly different recipe than what I used here. But yeah, good stuff. All right, here's to hoping this heat wave ends soon as well. Today's a Friday. Saturday and Sunday, still gonna be hot, but some thunderstorms coming through. By Monday, it might be just down to 80. So, but anyway, it was fun trying something new today. All right, yeah, we're gonna call this a success. We can improve on it too, but it's a success. All right, thanks for joining me today, folks. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, we'll see you on the next one.